you, Emma, and welcome everyone to my session today about the real user adoption, what happens after technical end user trainings. We have quite interesting things for you today, so let's hop onwards. My name is Karolina Kettukori. You maybe have seen me already. I was here last week as well when we were talking about the return on investment in Microsoft Teams user adoption. But my work revolves around teams, better teamwork, modern work, and basically everything that revolves around internal communications, teamwork in companies. I'm also a co-organizer in Teams Community Finland user group and host at our new Adoption and Change Management Teams user group. So if you're interested in user adoption and change management, please welcome to check our Twitter account as well. I'm also myself pretty active in Twitter and in LinkedIn, and you can always contact me in there, ask questions, and add me as a contact. Cool. I think that's enough about myself because we have lots of interesting content here today. So let's get started. This was yesterday's big news. I think this was announced yesterday that Teams has now reached 115 million daily active users. And by daily active users, Microsoft means people who open Teams and do something in Teams. So for example, write a message to the chat, like or react a post in Teams, open a document, collaborate on a document in Teams, or do something active in Teams. And I think that's a huge number compared to, for example, the 75 million, what it was in the summertime. And when we are thinking about what people are actually doing in Teams, so this was another huge number they announced yesterday. So actually those 55 million Teams users and also other Microsoft 365 users. So that means also people using Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, etc. They generated more than 30 billion collaboration minutes in a single day. And collaboration minutes means, for example, being in a meeting, chatting with each other, or collaborating together on a document. This was this official news link, and I will post this link to our Q&A after this session as well. But these are huge, cool numbers. And of course, when we wonder how these numbers have been reached, the answer is the current situation. So when we think about the situation a year ago, companies were only thinking about, should we maybe start utilizing Teams? And they were thinking about, oh, we have Skype. Skype is okay for another year. So we go on with Skype until 2021. But then came COVID, and then everything moved offline, or sorry, not offline, but online. So we are working remotely. I'm at home at the moment, and I think most of you viewers are at home at also. But when we think about those 115 million users per day and what they are really doing inside Teams, now starts the interesting part, and now we get to the point of the real user adoption. So if you have attended to some of my sessions this year, you maybe have seen the story already, but I think this is a very actual story, and it's very common story in most of the companies I work with at the moment. So I want to share this again with you. So when we are doing Teams development workshops or some kind of team workshops in our customers at the moment, I always asked that, hey, are you using Teams? And the answer always is that of course we are using Teams. And of course they are using Teams because they are working remotely. They have to have meetings in Teams. They have to have some kind of communication in Teams. And then I start asking a bit more questions, a bit more deep dive questions. So what are you using in Teams? And yeah, they say that we are chatting in Teams, we are having meetings in Teams. And maybe they are a bit lost with all the information, with the team structure, with all the 20 different chats they have going on at the moment. And this is when we are maybe a bit confused as consultants, because we know that Teams is so much more than just meetings and just a chat. So people at the moment, when we think about the 150 million people, I really like to say 150 million people, but that's a huge number. So when we think about those people, they are mainly using Teams for replacement for Skype. So for meetings and chatting. But when we think about the whole Office 365 or whole Microsoft 365 environment, there is so much more. And now I want to challenge you to think a bit different. And I want to challenge you to think Teams as a platform. And it may sound a bit technical, but I convince you it's not necessarily that technical at all. And it was a funny thing because I searched Google. I didn't use Bing. Bing didn't find this, but Google did find this. And I searched Teams as a platform. And the first results were actually Wikipedia. And as we all know, if it's in Wikipedia, it must be official. And in Wikipedia, it actually says that Teams is a communication and collaboration platform that also combines the chat and meetings, file storage, etc., but application integration. And that may sound a bit scary, that may sound a bit technical, but when we are thinking about all those time savings, all those money savings, all the better employee experience, being more effective, being more productive with Teams, we aren't going to achieve those with just having meetings and chat in Teams. We are going to achieve those in really taking the user adoption and Teams usage to whole another level. And when we think about the situation maybe a year ago, or maybe even last spring, you could think about Teams as a platform in like these 3 different phases. First, we had those super simple, zero gravity, no effort applications you could use in Teams. For example, adding tabs in Teams. Most of you know you have, for example, Posts tab, Files tab in Teams. You have the wiki. Please always remove the wiki, use OneNote instead. But you can also add third-party tabs, etc. Some also ready-made platform applications in Teams are, for example, Hubot. I think it's pretty sad but sometimes because no one talks about the Hubot, but it's still there, and it's pretty convenient way to find about your coworkers. So these kind of things doesn't require any technical training. They don't require any technical knowledge, or they don't require any coding skills. Pretty much every employee can add a tab in their team. When we take a step further, we have these lightweight options, and they also mean that you have some ready-made templates. You have ready-made connectors, for example, getting posts from Twitter to Teams, or building some ready-made messaging extensions in Teams. That means that you don't have to code for yourself. You don't have to do any coding. You don't have to have the technical knowledge, but you have to know that these applications exist in Teams, and you have to know that you can utilize those. And then comes the heavy duty part, So then you have to be the citizen developer, or you have to know a bit more about these things. For example, creating Power Automates from scratch, or creating functional Power Apps from scratch. Or then if we go into very, very deep dive, then we start coding. We can create custom connectors. We can utilize SharePoint web parts inside Teams, etc. So the variety when we are thinking about Teams as a platform is huge. But when we also think about how much all of these different things can bring to our teamwork, and how much more can we utilize Teams as today, just a replacement for Skype, the possibilities are almost endless. And also when we think about the development of this whole concept. So as I said, this was maybe the situation a year ago. And when we think about the situation today, it's pretty much different. So especially after Ignite, but also during these last couple of months, many of those lightweight applications, lightweight solutions have actually turned into this left-hand side zero gravity model. So now we have quite a lot of more ready-made connectors, ready-made Power Automate in Teams. And then also when we are bringing our Power Automate inside Teams, our Power Apps inside Teams, our Power Virtual Agent inside Teams, those bring those solutions and applications also more available to just normal employees. And you don't have to be the IT guy anymore to build Power Apps. You can be just a normal employee with an idea. You go to your Teams and start building. And then, of course, this doesn't mean that you can skip coding altogether. We still have this heavy-duty part with coding, pods, custom applications, etc. But the point of our today's session is the everyday employee user adoption. So we are sticking in the zero gravity part today. And now when we think about this whole Teams platform thing and all the possibilities it offers, so I always ask myself, or I can ask my customers, why are we utilizing only a fraction of Teams? So why are we utilizing only the chat, only the meeting, maybe having some teamwork in Teams, but only a small part of the whole solution? And usually I get 3 answers. So answer number 1 is that it's not my business. And when we want to find the person in the company or the department in the company who is responsible for user adoption, who would be, for example, responsible for Power Apps projects, it's not the IT. So user adoption is not IT's business. The technical trainings, the initial implementation might be IT's business, but when we are thinking about developing teamwork or developing business processes with Power Apps, then the responsible counterpart is, for example, HR. It can be communications department, or usually it's the business itself. So it's some department in the organization, it's some team in the organization, and it's their business. So if you have been talking with the IT to this point, now you maybe need to find some new counterparts in the organization. So you have to go deeper into the business departments and start talking with them. Another interesting comment or answer to this question is that I'm too busy. I don't have time for this. And actually there is this like super funny picture about some rock age men, like the Flintstones, and they are trying to move heavy things with square rocks. And then someone comes there and suggests that maybe we should try this round rock instead. So it would be more easier to move heavy things. But then the guys are saying, oh, I can't, I'm too busy. So people are too busy doing hard work and doing work in very hard ways, doing much manual processes, doing much work they wouldn't need to do. And being busy is usually not a reality. Being busy is a false feeling that may become, for example, having too many meetings in a day, or having these manual processes, or doing some process twice or even 3 times when 1 time should be enough. So if you are getting the answer that I'm too busy, you could start thinking about or talking with the customer that why are you busy? What kind of processes in your day make your working day that busy? And then there is also the calculations you could use, for example, by developing this process or making your internal communication a bit better, your information flow becomes better. You will save, for example, 5 minutes per day, just 5 minutes per day, because you will find information more easily. And those 5 minutes can be pretty expensive. If you think about like a normal salary or yearly salary, and then we divide and calculate how much does that 5 minutes cost, it can soon be that your user adoption project, for example, with 50,000 euros, is getting paid back in just 2 or 3 weeks, because you will save that 5 minutes per day per employee. So you can also calculate the monetary return on investment in user adoption projects. And the third thing, or third answer I get, is that I don't know about the possibilities. And people are used to doing work with email. And people are pretty much used to using Skype. And now they are using Teams as replacement for email and Skype. So they don't really know about the whole use list we have in here. They don't maybe know even that we can collaborate on documents in Teams. I've had customers who have been using Teams for a year, and they didn't know that you can open document in Teams and your coworker can open the same document and you can collaborate on the document together. So super simple things might be totally unknown to your customers. And then it means you have to inspire your customers about all the different possibilities. Especially now when Teams is developing so fast and all the new functionalities are coming like day after day, it's important to have this continuous conversation with customers and tell your customers that, hey, this kind of power-ups is now in Teams. Where could you utilize this one? Or how about Microsoft Lists? It's now also in Teams. So do you have any Excel sheet you are using at the moment? We could maybe turn into Microsoft Lists. Okay. Now I have some demos for you. And when we are thinking about Teams as a hub for teamwork and taking the Teams usage and taking the Teams user adoption a further or deeper from the chat and meetings into really team working in Teams and developing business processes in Teams. So I have 3 small different demos I will show you. First is about tabs, because tabs are super important. Tabs are the easiest place you can extend your teams and you can extend your teamwork processes. Then we are going to take a look at bots. And this is actually pretty funny, because if you have told me a year ago that I would write a PowerPoint slide with the title Citizen Developer Chatbots. I wouldn't have believed you, because chatbots, the idea is that you are some coder, you have very deep knowledge of coding, you have very deep knowledge of technology. But nowadays, you can go to Teams, you can open Power Virtual Agent, and you can really create your own chatbot in like 5 minutes. That's something super, super cool. Then we are going to take a look at Power Automate cases. So what simple things can you automate with Power Automate in Teams? And then last demo is about governance, because governance is super important topic, but governance is also a topic that not many people are interested in, because people are interested in doing their jobs easily, fast, making their job nice. And governance is something where you used to think about the whole company, the whole department. But there are also things in Teams that will help you with the governance. So we'll take a look on those as well. Cool. So let's go to my demos. And here I will have my demo team. So when I'm looking at the direction, I'm looking at my demo team. First of all, we are going to let's take a look at our tabs. So when we are thinking about how we can utilize Teams in the team working context, so extending our teamwork inside Teams, there are tabs. And when we go to a team, you have lots of different tabs, and you can add so much more. One super cool application or tab that just came hot from Ignite is the SharePoint home site application. So, for example, here what you can see is my internet team in Teams. And of course, you can already at the moment add SharePoint pages as tabs in Teams. But in the future, you are also able to add like your whole SharePoint site or your whole SharePoint internet as an application in Teams. So it will appear here in the left-hand rail, and every employee can go directly to your internet via Teams. And because I'm at my browser at the moment, some of the tabs aren't working right here, but it's okay. We don't have to get stuck with those. So the SharePoint home site, let's see if it works in here. It's not working. Let's click this one. So it's an application that's coming soon. And here you can see the experience. So you can add the application here in the left-hand rail. And basically it's your SharePoint in Teams with the whole navigation experience that was missing when you added just a normal site in Teams tabs, and the whole web part, all the news, everything you have in your internet. And when I have interviewed people about using Teams and team working in Teams, they very rarely actually go to the internet, like the whole company internet, because it's not relevant to them. The team site or their own team in Teams is more relevant. So using the home site application, so bringing your internet to Teams, is one super cool way you can extend the usage of your Teams. Then we have Microsoft Lists. And List is also a new application that just came to Teams. So you can find all these applications when you click the 3 dots, and you will search, for example, lists. And this is the list application. This also isn't working in the browser version, so I will show you it here in the in the Microsoft site. So basically, it's SharePoint lists. So it can be very familiar experience to many of you, but it's visual. You can have lots of automated, for example, color coding automated tags in your lists. You can add those as a tab in your teams. Now, one question people are asking me is that should I use Planner or should I use lists? And it depends, really. Planner is a cool way if you want to track process, if you want to have this Kanban style of tasks you can move around. And then lists is could be maybe a bit larger projects or larger lists. It can be, for example, for processes you don't need to move from one bucket to another, but more you can track the process with these, for example, tags. So lists is one super cool thing I think many teams could be interested in, and it's easy to add, and you can utilize those inside your team. And then there is this third tab or application that's also new. So lots of super cool new things at the moment. It's the Planner application. So Planner or tasks is the one place for all of your tasks. So all the planners you have in Teams, all your to-dos from your to-do. So basically the Planner application gathers all the tasks around Teams environment in one place. And when we are thinking about plans, you can also create a new plan from the Planner application, as well as you can go to the team, add a Planner tab, and create a plan from there. So just create a new plan, choose the team you want to create the plan in, and then you can see it in your Planner application. Yeah, so super cool thing. And I think this is also something that makes teamwork easier, because previously we had to go through like every single team or go to see our tasks in different teams. Now you can just utilize the Planner application and see everything in one place. Okay, so besides extending teams with tabs and basic applications, we have the bots. And I mentioned the Hubot, and the Hubot lives in your chat. And here he is or she is, maybe it is, I don't know if bots have any gender, but if you are a large organization, of course, if you're small, it works in the same way, but usually you need to know someone, you need to know people, you need to have the network. When you have some question, you want to know who can I ask this question from. So the Hubot is here to make your finding information easier or finding the right person easier. And I can, for example, ask, what are you doing or how can you help me? And it will give me the list. So who is Jane? Or maybe who knows about polar bears? I don't know if anyone in our team knows about polar bears. Oh, it needs some permissions. Let's see if I can give some permissions to him. Cool. Okay. Oh, I know about polar bears. That's pretty cool. Okay, so maybe I can also ask who was in a meeting about coffee. Let's see, did we have any coffee meetings? No meetings about coffee. But this is a super easy way, and this is a out-of-the-box way to find some persons in your company that knows about specific cases or have been in some specific meetings. And the information is collected from Teams, from Delve, from Microsoft 365. So basically, Hubot knows everything about everyone. The other super cool thing is, of course, Power Virtual Agents. And when we are thinking about the next step or the next level of Teams user adoption, I think this is maybe even the third level or fourth level. But I want to show you this one because this is really super cool. This is super easy to test, super easy to start using. And I would really want to see some real life use cases for Power Virtual Agents as well. So you can find this in Teams with the 3 dots, and you go and search for Power Virtual Agents. And it says you can create a chatbot in 5 minutes. Yeah, basically that's true. You can create a chatbot in 5 minutes, and I think that's awesome. I have created one chatbot before, and it's called Adam. And I think you should always name your chatbots in some way, because it makes them more personal. Of course, these have some restrictions. So when you create a Power Virtual Agent or your chatbot, it's only available to one team. So if you have, for example, an HR team for the whole company, that may be something that you could utilize, for example, building a HR bot that could answer to questions about holidays, vacations, sick leave, etc. That would be a super interesting real life use case. But here my chatbot is called Adam, and it's a chatbot in our One North Pole team. And the Microsoft Power Virtual Agents, they have some ready-made templates. And for example, in this chatbot, I have used just a normal, simple ready-made template. You can go to the template, edit it, and you can, of course, create a whole new template for yourself. The templates are pretty okay at the moment. One thing is that they, of course, work only in English. So if you are living in this far away country like Finland or Sweden, they don't work in Finnish or Swedish at the moment. But yeah, most of the countries are using English. Most of the like large companies are using English, so that's totally okay. And here I can test my chatbot. He says that hi, I'm a virtual agent. So maybe I can, for example, ask that when are you open, if Adam would be a shop, for example. And then it will answer, for example, our store is open from Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I could also, for example, order a laptop from the bot. I want a laptop. Let's see if sorry, didn't get that. No. And if I want to start over, I can always start over. But this is as you can see, it's a pretty modern, pretty cool way to create chatbots. And when you have a certain use case, for example, creating a HR chatbot for the HR team, this can be really useful for you. Let's just type this. When are you open? Again, I will say this answer to my question. And then I will say, great, it was a 5-star experience. So this is something you can go and test. It's super easy to start with. And then when you want to dig or dive a bit deeper, you can always go to the templates and then start editing or adding some else yourself. Cool. Then the fourth thing, our fourth demo I will show you is about Power Automate. And at the moment, we have Flow in Teams. And as you might know, Flow is the old name for Power Automate. The new Power Automate application is coming to Teams, but at the moment you can find it with the name Flow. And yes, we have had Power Automate in Office 365 for quite some time already. I can go to office.com, I can choose Power Automate and create my own flows. But the thing when we are thinking about utilizing Teams and making teamwork easier with Teams, is that bringing Flow or bringing Power Automate inside Teams is something that makes it yet again a bit easier for the normal employee. So you don't have to know where Power Automate is. You don't have to go to office.com. You just open your Teams and everything is there. Here I have one simple example flow. So when I go to my flows, so it's called Power Automate that makes flows. It's difficult. So basically I have created this flow that every time someone tweets about Microsoft Teams or someone tweets about Community Rocks, it will bring those tweets in my Teams channel. And you could utilize this, for example, that when someone tweets about your company, it will bring those tweets into a channel in Teams. Or, for example, when someone adds a post to Instagram, so if your company has an Instagram account, it will bring those Instagram posts to Teams channel. When we are going away from the social media, you can, of course, utilize Team flows to create business processes, for example, creating approval processes for some kind of documents. You can create flows, for example, bringing some emails to your teams, etc. But this is a super simple example because this is basically built by using just a ready-made template. I didn't code anything. I never had done flows before, but I went to Power Automate and created this by using the ready-made template. And I know when we go to check my flow, it isn't that pretty. So of course there are lots of work to be done, but it does what it promises. It brings all the tweets with the hashtag Microsoft Teams or Community Rocks in my social media channel in Teams. And yet again, this makes the Teams a one place, a hub for teamwork. People don't have to go to Twitter to search information. People don't have to go to news sites to search for information because the information comes to them in their Teams. Another example of the Power Automate is a recruitment process. And this is a bit more complex. So I haven't built this myself because I'm not an expert with Power Automate. But I can tell you the story behind this process. So you can have, for example, a recruitment process with a shared email inbox. This is a very typical situation that you have a shared email inbox where people are sending emails. It can be recruitment inbox. It can be, for example, some ticketing system, IT tickets, HR tickets, and then several people are looking at the one email inbox. And the current process goes that you will get an email, and then people are starting to manually process it. You maybe don't know who is responsible for this certain email. You don't know who will answer to the person, who will decide if this email will go further on, and it's very time consuming. So the go through time from the initial email to the answer to the person is super long. And within this manual process, it will create lots and lots of emails. And then from the one recruitment email can become 20 or 30 or even 100 emails you send back and forth. But what we could do, we still have the same initiative for the process. So person is sending an email to our recruitment shared inbox. But instead of handling the email inside Outlook, we are creating a flow that brings the email from the email inbox to our channel in Teams. So we have created a channel for recruitment posts in Teams, and then we're using Flow to fetch the emails to the Teams channel. Then we could utilize adaptive cards. So this icon in here is actually adaptive cards. If we want to make it prettier, If you want to, for example, make it that when an email comes, you will have some kind of buttons, and then the person will choose the email or click the button that I will handle this. And by clicking the button in Adaptive Card, it will add a task in Planner and make the person responsible for the task. So not a single email is sent within this process. It's all handled within Teams with the help of Flow, with the help of Power Adaptive Cards, with the help of, for example, Planner. And then everyone are happy. The go-through time is much shorter, and the actual process is pretty much the same. People send you an email, you will handle the email, and then you will answer to the person. But what happens between the email and the other email is totally different. And this is a very concrete way that you can really start utilizing Teams as a platform for modern work instead of just, I think we have gotten quite a long way from the meeting and chat in Teams. Cool. Then our last demo of today is governance. And one example of how you can make governance easy for your employees is to utilize Teams templates. And you have been able to create Teams templates, and you have been able to create Teams provisioning for quite a lot of long time already. But that's something you have had done with coding. And of course, in here we want to utilize the easy and ready-made solutions. So yet another thing that came from Ignite are Teams templates. And now when I go to join or create a team, I can create a team and utilize a template. And here we have some ready-made templates by Microsoft, for example, managing a project or managing an event. If you are an IT admin, you can also create your own templates in the Admin Center. I think there are more templates than the last time I was here. It's nice to see that these are also developing all the time. But if you, for example, take this onboarding employees template, there are a few things you might want to be aware of. It's a good thing that, for example, you will get certain channels and you will get certain tabs or certain applications in your team, because that means that your teams will be similar to each other. And being similar, it means they are easier to use for normal employee. But when we are looking these applications, we have the wiki in here. I don't know, for some reason Microsoft loves the wiki, and I don't love the wiki, because wiki doesn't have any version history. If you delete the wiki, it's gone. So always utilize OneNote instead of wiki. The other thing in here is Yammer communities. So if you are using Yammer in your organization, it's okay. You can, of course, bring Yammer to your teams as well. But if you are a small organization, for example, under 5,000 employees, you maybe don't need Yammer at all. You are all fine just with Teams. So then this communities application inside your team is just another extra burden. So utilizing ready-made templates in your teams are a great and very simple way to govern your team's environment, but always check that what these templates have eaten, so what are inside these templates, and maybe it will be a better option to create your own company templates in Admin Center and then ask people to utilize those and not maybe these ready-made Microsoft ones. Cool. We are getting near the end, and I have one slide for you left. So how to get started with real user adoption. And now I have lots of text. I usually prefer like having pictures and demos, but I think this was a pretty important topic, and I wanted to do like the step-by-step instructions. So let's read all of this text in here. When we want to find some use cases, we want to inspire people. So we want to find about their challenges. We want to find about their everyday, day-to-day work life. And it's easier to do if you have some pilot team, some pilot department. For example, it can be one factory in one company, or it can be, for example, the IT team itself. It can be some business unit. So choose one team for piloting and then have some kind of workshops with them and get to know their everyday work life, get to know the challenges they have with their internal communication, their business processes, and then inspire them with the possibilities. So tell them that, hey, nowadays you can utilize lists in Teams, or you can create chatbots in Teams. So how about we could replace your Excel sheet with this new cool lists in Teams? So tell about the possibilities and then choose a couple of things you want to pilot. I brought here 3 because 3 is a nice number. If you have 5, it can be a pretty big project to be a pilot or to be a proof of concept. So choose a couple of the most like the low-hanging fruits. Easy things, simple things you can transform with Teams. When you have done those pilots, when you have done those proof of concepts, gather the best practices. So what worked? Because maybe it didn't work. Maybe you just have to say, you have to admit that the old process was better. It can happen. It's not likely to happen, but it can happen. So gather the best practices, what worked, what was good about it, and maybe you can also, for example, write an internal reference case. So you can write a success story and share the story within the company. And then think how to expand the success story to all the other factories, to all the other teams, or all the other departments. So when we are thinking about real Teams usage, real user adoption, taking Teams and teamwork into the next level, we have all gathered the base knowledge in technical trainings. We technically know how to use Teams in chatting and in meetings, but then start piloting with small teams, small units, gather some challenges, inspire the teams with possibilities, and then expand those great success stories around the company. Awesome. That was everything I had for you today. I have a couple of links in here. If you want to learn more, we have these learning paths in Microsoft Learn, so you can utilize those. I will also post these links to the chat. And then we have this survey, feedback survey. Please, if you can fill that one, it's awesome. But I hope you got inspired today. Maybe you learned something new today. And if we have any questions, now it's a great time to ask those so I can answer. Cool. There are a couple of questions already. So someone asked that when I try to launch Planner, it doesn't pop up after searching. Where do we find those add-ons? So there are a couple of different ways you can use Planner in Teams. So if we go to Teams, we can search for the Planner application in here. If it isn't visible, it will come soon. It should be in general availability already. But if you don't find the Planner application here, another possibility is to go to your team, go to tabs, and search for Planner here. If you don't see Planner here, then it might be that your organization hasn't allowed Planner to be available. So then you maybe have to contact your IT. I can also show that if you go to office.com, you can of course find Planner. Let's see, where is it? All applications. you can find Planner in office.com. But I wouldn't recommend using Planner via office.com because in here you are getting lost. Planner is always attached to a team context. So when you create a team, you can create plans. And when you create a planner from planner task.office.com, then you miss the team context in there. So my advice is that when you want to create a plan, always utilize the tab in Teams. And if you don't see the planner here, then contact your IT. Okay. Another question here, is SharePoint capabilities, to, for example, document storage incorporated in Teams now? So files section in Teams, basically this is SharePoint document library. And you can, if you open it here in SharePoint, you can see that actually it's just a normal SharePoint document library, which is just shown in Teams tab. If you already have some SharePoint sites, for example, in internet sites or in team sites, and you have some document libraries in SharePoint, you can also bring those document libraries and add those as a tab in Teams. So for example, this one is a HR document library in our intranet, which I have added as a tab in Teams. And you can see you have some of those same capabilities as in SharePoint, but not everything at the moment. For example, if you want to utilize metadata, it's technically possible, but I don't know if really anyone utilizes metadata in documents in Teams. So most of the SharePoint document storage capabilities are in Teams, but maybe not necessarily all of them. I hope that answered to your question. Okay, do you have any more questions at the moment? We still have a couple of minutes left. And I promised to pass those links, so I will also do that now. So this is the link to the Microsoft news about the 115 million users in Teams at the moment. And then here is the link in our learning pathway. So here you can learn more. And then here you have the survey link. The code 11820. Okay, and then yeah, Susan commented that understood your reservations about wikis, and I use it as a site overview and links to key documents, lists, and key team members, etc. And that's a awesome use case, and that's actually the only use case I've come up with for wikis. So yes, you can utilize wikis as, for example, as a site overview. OneNote takes time to open, and OneNote might be a more difficult to use in Teams. So that's a great point. Thank you, Susan. I have also, if I want to create a site overview, I can also do it in SharePoint and then embed the SharePoint page to Teams. That takes a bit more effort. It might be a bit more prettier, but the wiki is okay for that kind of information. Do I have any other concerns about wikis? No. I've just seen so many customer projects that they have utilized the wiki, and then someone went and deleted the wiki, and then the information is gone. So that's the only reservation about the wikis. Cool. Very good point. Thank you, Susan. Okay, I think we are almost at the end of our session at the moment. If you still have any last-minute comments or questions, you can always use the Q&A, or then you can reach me at Twitter or in LinkedIn, so I can, of course, answer your questions in there after this show. I will share the slides in SlideShare. I will share the link in Twitter as well. And then, of course, Emma will record this session, so we will share the recording in YouTube afterwards. But if not any more questions at the moment, I will thank you everyone for coming to this session today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have an awesome day. So it's Thursday, so I hope you also have an awesome weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolina. It's been great to have you back again today, and thank you for another fantastic session. Also, thank you to everyone who joined us today and for your questions, and hope to see you at the next Reactor session. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.